Emotional intelligence from theory to practice, and I am sure many of you must have heard about this topic multiple times. And here it's my experience sharing about what I have explored about emotional intelligence. So before I get started, let me introduce myself and primarily to talk about what I do in emotional intelligence field. So I run a company, iZenBridge. Running a company on its own itself requires some amount of emotional intelligence because you take care of a lot of uncertainties. You have your own messy life, and along with that, you also need to take care of messy business together. I have been studying emotional intelligence for 5 years actively, and I am certified coach from International Coach Federation as well, which requires some level of emotional intelligence and coaching competencies. I have been teaching agile coaching, and when I teach agile coaching, we spend good amount of time talking about emotional intelligence. So that's the another thing which gives me some experience related to emotional intelligence. And I would say proudly that I have been demonstrating emotional stability on internet from last 3 4 years. So there was a time I used to comment, object other people's viewpoints, and I end up showing my aggression, my depression, my joy on internet. But it's been a while I am emotionally stable on internet. So and that makes me feel that yes, I can talk about emotional intelligence now in a little better term. So the idea here is that we don't spend too much time thinking about theories, but we see what we can do from emotional intelligence and how do we take it in our own life. So we are learning together. It is not like I am teaching. Emotional intelligence, I think, cannot be taught. It has to be just learned, and there is no one way of doing it. It's not a math, physics, chemistry, computer, or agile where I can just give you a framework and you follow it. It is something which I can share what I have done, but your way of dealing with your own emotion or with your own situation might vary very differently. So we will learn some of the ideas to improve our emotional intelligence. Now, who are here? So let's run few polls so that we get an idea about all of you. And this time, some of you might have been attending our webinars before. The polls are very different. We used to run a poll where I ask about how long you have been working on Agile or PMP or something, something, something. Here we have something different. So I'm asking you is a different question here. Think about it. So how many of you believe that your life would have been better if you know how to handle your emotions well? Okay, so I stop here and share the results with you so that you know who all are here. So 97% agrees that their life would have been better if they know how to emotions well. Another question, how many of you agree that your life would have been better if others whom you interact frequently know how to handle their emotions better? Okay, so I stop the poll here. Okay, so now we can see that the situation is quite clear, that handling our own emotions, and if we live in an environment where people know how to handle their emotions, can help in improving our life better. Okay, so we all believes in this fact that it requires some level of emotional regulation in order to bring our life or make our life better. So what is emotional intelligence? Let's spend some time about theory, and then we get into the practical side of it. So this is a term which is created by Peter and John and primarily popularized by Daniel Goleman when he wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence. The book name itself was Emotional Intelligence, and that is when it all got started. Now, there is a long definition which I picked up from one of the Oxford University Press. There are multiple models, multiple ways to explain emotional intelligence, but a sense is very simple. The intelligence of recognizing our own emotions and a capability to recognize emotions of others and a capacity to manage our own emotions and others' emotion is emotional intelligence. If I can know what I am feeling, I know what emotions I am going through, and then I do have a capacity to regulate my emotion, I have my self level of emotional intelligence. Similarly, can I see others' emotions and guide the thinking and behavioral so that everybody can talk in a rational conversation, or we can deal with our emotion. We just don't get that influenced by our emotions. So in a simple sense, this is how it looks like. Now there are various models, as I said, but majority of them, this is the most popular way of looking at emotional intelligence, where we look at a 4 dimension. Uh, in a one say, you can say, if you look at a self and social. So if self is something which is in your control, social is that we are talking about others, and one dimension is a recognition and other is regulation. So let's talk about self awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. A capacity or intelligence to be aware about what is going in your mind, what is going in your feelings, what is going in your emotions, what kind of a mindset you are in, is a self-awareness. And how do you manage those emotions so that you can achieve your goals, you can achieve what you wanted to get done from that particular situation, rather than get carried away by emotion, is a self-management. And the same capacity, when you can see others' emotions, somebody comes up and start talking to you about a particular matter, rather than just listening to the word, you can also listen to the emotions which the person is coming up with. That's a social awareness and a capacity to influence the others' emotions so that they move towards the desired goal. You can influence them to move towards what they really wanted to do rather than get carried away by their emotion. Is more about relationship management. So these are the 4 dimensions, theoretically speaking, are spoken about. In today's session, I primarily focus on self-awareness and self-management. Now, whenever you look at emotional and benefits of emotional intelligence, you may find out if emotional intelligent people can deal with others well, they can influence others, they can guide others to a better purpose, they remain calm, and all those kind of things. Majority of benefits which are discussed in our field are moved towards relationship management. So we talk about how do I manage my relationship with others. That becomes the major focus area when we talk about emotional intelligence. But in my perspective, that is the final product. First, we need to start with self-awareness and self-management, because relationship with others is a final output of your own self-awareness. You can't manage a relationship with others till the time you have a better relationship with your own self. So that is the reason today I am sharing my experiment, my insights, primarily focusing on self-awareness and self-management. And if you do that well, the rest of the 2, emotional intelligence, are easy to understand as well as easy to practice. So let's get into self-awareness. Knowing one's internal state, preferences, resources, and intuition. What I am feeling right now. So how are you feeling right now? What are you feeling right now? Now this is a mood meter developed by LA Center of Emotional Intelligence. So let me explain this mood meter, because you have to do something about it. And it's better if you have a pen and paper along with you. So there is a 1 dimension of unpleasant to pleasant. So if you talk about the x-axis, the extreme side is unpleasant. You are having very bad feeling. Pleasant, you are into bliss. You are just enjoying. So these are the 2 dimensions from an unpleasant to pleasant. And the y-axis is an energy level. The low to high. If you are feeling very high in energy, you go up. If you are feeling very low in energy, you go down. Let me explain more. So if I am feeling very calm, So I have written a calm. So it is like I am feeling pleasant, but I am low in energy. So energy mid. I am not very energized about my calmness. If I have been very energized about my calmness and feeling pleasant, then I am in a very high aesthetic state where I'm just pumped in. So the green area is something where you are in a low energy, but you have a pleasant feeling from a scale of 1 to 5. The blue area is where you are in low energy, but you have an unpleasant feeling. You can say 0 to -5. So the more you go towards unpleasant direction, you can see a -5, 0 to -5. Similarly, high energy. So if you are a feeling desperate, you are feeling low, you are feeling little bit depressed, you are in a blue zone because you are feeling low in energy and you are feeling unpleasant. But if you are feeling very energized and still you are feeling unpleasant, you might be in a furious zone, anger zone, where your energy is high, but your pleasantness is low. If your energy is high and your pleasantness is high, you are in a very yellow zone. So now you need to think what you are feeling right now. Take 30 seconds and pick up a zone which represents your feeling. Are you in a yellow zone right now? Are you in a red zone? Are you in a green zone? Or you are in a blue zone? So you spend time, you got the feeling thing carried off. Just for the sake of understanding where all we are, let us have in which emotional zone are you in as a poll. So let's understand who is where. Okay, so I'm closing the poll, just sharing it with all of you. Now for a class, ideally I would like to have people in green and yellow only. So if there are people in a blue, so it means they are not happy. The learning cannot happen in a blue and red zone. Ideally, the people should be in a green zone where the learning can happen. Even yellow zone towards the upper side is also not good for learning to happen. So, but yes, the green and yellow zone is still okay. Blue zone, it's very difficult to make somebody understand the concept because he's already depressed or feeling very low about his own day or whatever it is. And red is definitely you are in anger, you are furious, and you may not be liking my voice or the session, or you might be coming up with your own issues and thinking here. So reflect what you are feeling and what you get out of this feeling. Is it a right feeling for a 1 hour webinar? I'm sitting here to learn, and if I'm feeling red or if I'm feeling blue, is it an appropriate emotion to move forward with in order to make best out of this particular session? So I leave you with that question and I move forward. It's how do we say it? And we had a sensing of feeling. Now write your feeling just on your pen and paper. I'm not going to ask you what are you feeling right now. What actually you are feeling? Can you name it? We understand your zone, but what is the feeling? Give it a name. Okay, hope you got some idea about feeling. Now many of you might have faced difficulty in even being aware about your feeling. Right now we did a very small exercise where I made you to select the zone, so some level of awareness came in. Before that you might not be even aware what are you feeling, and I asked you to write your feeling. You might got some idea that what you are right now feeling. uh, 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 the essence here is what should I do throughout my day so I at least remain connected with my emotions. I know what is happening inside. So I'm sharing some of the strategies which may help you to become self-aware. But again, I would stress on this point. It's very difficult to follow a predefined strategy for your own emotional needs. You need to find out your own strategies. And the strategies cannot be, I need to be calm. You won't be calm. Just by saying calm, you don't become calm. The strategies could be, I will go for a walk. Okay, that's a strategy. If I am feeling red, I will go for a walk. If I am feeling red, for me, I will go for a coffee break. So I go for a cafeteria, I sit there, enjoy the coffee. I can come back from red to green if I drink a cup of coffee alone for 1 hour. I'm done. So that kind of strategies can work. But first, you need to have an awareness. And second, whatever we are talking about strategy here, we are already getting into the field of self-management, because we are taking awareness and talking about what do we do with this awareness. But holding it back, and let's talk about some strategies to do a self-awareness. Now, there are approaches, there are apps, there are people who keep diary of it. They do keep a log of what they are feeling in a multiple times in a day. So I downloaded an app which was a Yale University app. It was a 60 rupees app which talks about mood meter. So mood meter is all about that you can download, you use on the phone, and it gives you, it asks you that, okay, what are you feeling, all these 4 zones. Some of you might be able to see it. Then I select the zone, then it talks about you are feeling here and what do you do on about it. So multiple times in a day, you may keep log of what you are feeling. You may observe your body, you may observe your feeling, you may observe your thinking, and even you observe your current mindset. So I will talk about feeling, thinking, mindset further, but in a simple way, that the way we did an exercise, red, blue, green, yellow, maybe multiple times in a day on a predefined frequency or at a predefined interval, you do that exercise for yourself and keep a log of it. That creates one sense of self-awareness. You also listen to what people are saying. Now, many times we live in our own world. If somebody is giving feedback, we start clarifying it. We start justifying what we have done. So the more you listen, increases your self-awareness, and you listen without thinking of that I need to defend my stand. So listening, feedback, whenever some conversation is happening, we need to see what other person is saying, because that also gives me my feedback. And if I reflect on that well, it increases my self-awareness. Use strong emotions as learning opportunities. Now, if I ask how many of you have been through a strong emotion today, now many of you may agree that yes, we had a strong emotion today. And there are psychologists who believes that strong emotions makes us mad. They makes us stupid. So what are the strong emotions? Anger. When you are in very anger, where you are very hatred, jealousy, or in fact, I would say extreme love. All these are strong emotions and they makes us stupid. Now, whenever these strong emotions comes in you as a self-awareness, it may be a learning opportunity for you. You reflect on what made me anger. Maybe after the anger is over, because you can't think when the strong emotion was overtaking you. But rather than envying and rather than regretting about all the strong emotions, may take them as a learning opportunity, so you know about yourself. And that can make you more and more self-aware. Mindfulness. So you may do some breathing exercise, some walking exercise. It's not necessary that you have to sit and focus on something. You can bring mindfulness by just working, walking, whatever you are doing. You focus on what you are doing. You watch what you are doing. You make sure that complete attention is here. That makes you a little bit self-aware. So we spoke about some of these self-awareness ideas, but they will get intermingled with self-management thing, because we are reaching there, and awareness and management is something going hand in hand when we are talking about practically using it. So self-management is that I know I am in a red zone. What do I do about it? How do I move forward? So self-management refers to managing one's internal state, impulse, and resources towards the desired state. So it's like this. If I ask you a question, how do you want to feel? Now, in which zone you want to be? So my first question was, where are you? But this question is where you want to go and where you should be in order to make best use of this hour. Where you should be to make best use of your own day. So in the same mood meter, you may also start thinking of what I should really feel, or what is more economical, profitable to feel at that point in time. And if you do that, what kind of a strategies used to follow? How do you move from current feeling to the desired feeling? And that is the self-management part of it. I am here, I am feeling depressed. Great, you are aware that you are feeling depressed. It's a first starting point. There is no rejection of it. There is no, I should not be feeling depressed. I am feeling depressed. That's the reality. Now what do I do about it? What I want to feel? I want to feel calm. Okay, how do I do that? I may watch a movie. I may go for a walk. I may read a book. So these are all my strategy. Again, your strategy might be different. So for me, if I'm feeling depressed, I may end up picking up some book and start reading it. This is something I do. I may go for a coffee with a book. And it is not about gaining the knowledge. It's just about controlling my own stupid emotions. So you think of that, okay, how do I move from here to there, and what kind of a strategies can help me. Now I take this subject further, and now I would say that core content of this webinar is coming, which is more practical and experience based. Till now you might have thought that okay, there is some theory and background is made. Now how things are happening, how events are happening to us, how our life is living. Now many of us believes that our life is triggered by so many stimuli which is around us. I'm driving a car, somebody bumped my car, somebody give me a bad look, and I get angry. I was walking inside my office and my boss looked at me in a very disgusting way, and my day is over. Or I got an email where they are unnecessarily blaming me, and I am out of my mind now. So many of us are driven by just event happening, and outcome, which is your life, is in a mess because of that event. And we keep thinking of, this is happening because of my bad boss, this is happening because of the bad traffic, this is happening because of the bad country, this is happening because of the bad parents, bad. And ultimately I am the one who suffer because of everything happening around. So that is how many of us might be taking the situation. Now let's look at a different equation. So event generating some outcome, that is something like the way we start perceiving the world. If I change this equation, it says there is an event, there is a response, and then there is outcome. So my boss might give me a bad look. That's an event. I can't control it. Now how do I respond to it? Do I ask question? Do I share my feeling that, boss, looks like you are not happy with me, or I am just cooking it? Or boss, is there something you want to talk to me? Or boss, I didn't like the way you look at me. Is there anything which I can fix it so that you don't have to give me this look? Boss may says, oh, I'm thinking about my own messy life. I just by mistake looked at you. So you recover the reality. Or he may say that he didn't like the way you have handled a previous meeting, and you should do something about it. Something. So the event happened. Now response is in your control, and outcome is a function of event and response. In a previous stage, we only see event happening and I am mess. Now here we are saying event is still there. You can't control the word. The word, 90% of the things in this world will happen against our wishes. That's the reality. Only because our wishes are so many, things will not going to happen as we expect them to happen. Nobody can have it. So things will keep happening. Now how do we respond to it is something which defines outcome. If we respond to it in a emotionally intelligent manner, we may have a positive outcome. If we respond to it without thinking about our own emotion, and we just react to it, the natural reaction comes, which body tells us something, we may be in a bad, messy stage. Now, let's look this equation further. The event response outcome. Now, the game is how do we control this response? So I expand this response part. Outcome we know, event we know is happening outside the world. Let's dig further into responses because that is something which is under our control. Now, what usually happen? Many times we feel that we respond because of the event, but there could be some digging you can do. Whatever happens, whatever we see, whatever we hear, most of us cannot understand what is hearing, whatever we are seeing, because we don't have all the information to make interpretation of it. Boss looking at you, which you don't find in a way which you feel not appropriate, but you don't have rest of the data. You just see this event. And we as a human being, we hate uncertainties. We want to know. And many times when we can't know, we tell ourselves that this is the reason because of which the boss is looking at me like this. And in a very crucial conversation talk about, we tell a story. So we have our own story about the relationship between you and your boss, and boss looking at you, which you find not appropriate, you add that story to it that, yeah, I know this guy will never be satisfied with me. I can do whatever, but I keep doing all the work. I stayed here till 11 o'clock. I am the only person in this office who really works. Rest of all are just taking my salary without doing anything. Still, he doesn't like me. And so this all comes in because you want to have a certainty about his feelings. We tell a lot of story. Now that story generates a lot of feeling in us, emotions in us, sadness, anger, depression, hopelessness. It generates sense in ourselves. And then we act against it. So you looked at the boss, he looked at a particular way, you feel all that messy that I am the only one who is working, you feel depressed, and after that you just sat at your chair, you didn't work for the whole day, you were just blaming yourself and thinking very, very depressed. So you acted based on what you felt rather than what boss did to you. So boss gave a look. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will sit on a chair and cry for the whole day because he gave that particular look to you. It's your story, it's your feeling which led you to do that. Now, little bit more drilling. We are getting in detail of this response. Now, many times we feel story and feeling. There is not necessarily a sequence. Many times we are hardwired for some set of reactions. So even somebody looking at us, we don't even think, we start feeling bad. And in order to make that feeling reality, we start telling the story. So it's not like the story comes first or a feeling comes first. I don't know. It iterate like in a such a way, various models, and models are useless for us. We only need to see what is really happening. It's useless to prove that this is happening first and this is happening next. It's about you. You need to think what is happening. And whatever makes sense for you, whatever helps you to find out your emotion, that is right for you. So I'm just putting up a question. Is the story coming or is the feeling coming? You can figure it out yourself. Now, my personal feeling is that it starts with some direct feeling coming in our mind. Even our mind is not yet aware what is happening. And then we start adding story to it. And then feeling becomes strong. Then we add more story to it. Then feeling becomes strong. And then we act against it. So boss looking at, I got an uncomfortable feeling. Then I add story to it. I feel more uncomfortable. Then I add more story to it. And then I take it forward. Now, how it has happened? Because we perceive the word the way we want to see it. And we also add the data which supports our story. So in psychology, there is a term called conformance bias. Whatever is happening in this word, it can be interpreted in multi-million ways. But we want to interpret the way which conforms to our initial judgment about it. Boss looked at us. I felt a little bit bad. Then I made a story that this guy will never be satisfied. Then I will pick up all the events which might happen in next 5, 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, which proves, which supports that this boss never trusts you. And then we keep iterating, and that makes us move act irrationally multiple times. The boss might not be thinking of saying this, but you end up reaching there. So I pause here. Is it making sense? Because now it will become a little bit more serious as I move to the next slides. I know I was not expecting to take this pause, but I am taking it here. Uh, okay, so questions are live. I just want to have some confirmation or a question. Okay, so you are so some of you are getting where we are and how we are moving. Great. And this thing, whatever I shared, is coming from various models and some of my experience. But as we move forward, it will become more and more my experience and my experimentation with emotional intelligence, and then we take it for it. Okay, so hopefully you all are awake and you are finding this information and useful enough. Let's move forward. Okay, that was my emotion and my confirmation to myself. So I felt little bit uncomfortable that you guys are might not be understanding what I am saying. So I tried to find some confirmance. I didn't get as many. Then I made myself satisfied. People are listening. Let's move forward. That is how I managed my own emotion. Let's move forward. Okay, so now, good. Now there is a thinking which tells that between a stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response, and our response decides our growth or freedom. So whenever the event happening and before we respond to it, there is a space. There is a space, maybe a fraction of second space. And that space helps us in choosing what response we want to give. And that is what it decides how do we take it forward. So boss looking at you, before you respond back, think more. There is a space, and that space can help you to discover more about that particular event, more about that feeling rather than taking it forward. So there are some strategies which people discuss about controlling your emotions. One particular strategy which you all find very frequently talked is a delay. Delay your response. So you got a very bad email, you are very excited to shout back on that guy, but you delay it. You says, I will reply to this email after 1 hour or after 1 day or after 10 days. So the delay brings calmness, stability in your mind, so you can choose the response and you can respond well. So it's like the default feeling which came in, and a lot of stories are getting activated. You are neither accepting those stories, you are not rejecting that story, but since your feelings are already high, negatively high, you delay it. So this is strategy. People talk about count till 1 to 10 before you respond. Some people talk about let's have a water. So whenever you get angry, drink 1 glass of water before you respond back to the person. Primarily, or somebody will say is that think about the God, the supreme power who has created you, so that you can remain calm. So all these techniques are primarily a technique to delay the response and take the mind somewhere else so that you can come back. And that is what I'm saying. Focus on some good cause. I am here for the company goal. I don't have to get into a politics or the boss thing. It's like focus. You are focused on some idea. You are focusing on the value. You are focusing on some instrument which removes some level of energy from that particular aspect. So which gives you some space so that you can look at that matter and then you move forward. Sometimes you can focus on a breathe. You might keep saying that Karate Kids, where Jackie Chan keeps saying that breathe, breathe, breathe. So whenever you get angry, breathe. So breathe is more about that you think of that you are breathing. You are anyway breathing. But when you really feel that you are breathing, your mind goes into breathing, and then by the time you come back, you can you are already little bit calmer. You can see the situation well. Label. So labeling is another way that you scan your mind and say what I'm feeling. So you label that feeling. Oh, I'm feeling angry. Okay. So then some stress gets relieved because you know what you are feeling, and then you take care of it. I feel like I don't get respect here. or I feel insulted. So you accepted that you felt insulted, then it calms that emotion, and then you move forward. So these are the some of the techniques which you find frequently taught, spoken in various areas. But my thinking, like I have been experimenting, I have been trying to do all this, but see, actually this all happens at the speed of light. And so many times, especially when you are tired, by the time you realize that you need to think, you have already committed the crime. So the stimuli comes, somebody look at you, somebody is angry with you are already frustrated because of 10 other things. By the time you know that this was a situation, you have already responded back, or reacted back rather than responded back. And then you think, oh, where was I? And like most of the crimes, people end up killing other people and all those things. They do it when they are not in their control. They were mad. If they could just think for a while, they know that there is no use of committing this crime, but ultimately I will go to get into a jail and everything will happen messy. But you were not in your control. So yes, delays and other things are good, but many times you see them failing. So the question goes here is, can we do something now? So when I get into a situation, I am prepared about it. How can I train my mind and my body so that they can be rational, they can think about the situation when the situation arises? How can I fix my stories now before I see something or I hear something or something get attacked? Can I do something now? And that part is mindset part. Can I create a mindset? Can I cultivate a mindset which itself makes me emotionally intelligent, so that I can really feel, I can understand my story, and in general, I can control the things well. And this is something like my own way of interpreting this subject, coming from experience and various experiment. It is not a model. Model primarily, more and more models focus on delaying the response when the event is happening, but here I am focusing on mindset. So what are these mindset? And this is like my recipe to create an emotional intelligence. If you say that what is your content in this presentation, that this slide is my content in this presentation, 100%. So what kind of a mindset change you can bring to improve your emotional intelligence? Now, many of us, I accept me, believe that other people are stupid. So they don't know anything. If the management is stupid, the boss is stupid, the subordinate is stupid, all people are useless. And you unfortunately have to work with such a useless people. So many of us think like that. I'm not saying it might be true for few cases, but mostly it is false. So we believe people are stupid. Now, if we start moving from believing people are stupid to people are human, and we start respecting them as they are, do I respect this guy? And if I cultivate respect for him, at least as a fellow human being, a lot of things can be settled down. So we start moving from a belief of stupid people to working with humans, respectable human. First thing. The second mindset is why I suffer all the time. This is something happening me all the time. I am the one who suffer it. If we change that mindset, that I am responsible for my situation, whatever is happening to me is my responsibility, because I am the one who owns the response. So I am responsible rather than people are making me sick. If we can cultivate that mindset, we can become emotional intelligence. People make me sick. Two, people are reflection of my own. Now, whatever is happening surrounding us, it reflects our own behavior. If your boss is fighting with you, it reflects something about you. Because there is always an action and reaction. The whole universe is just a combination of action and reaction. So if you see some reaction, you might have taken some action. So you start focusing on what my behavior created this reaction today. I am responsible. So again, it is related. Now, third mindset, evaluating everything in right and wrong. This is right, this is wrong, this should have been like this should have been like that, creates a mindset which is dangerous for emotional intelligence. Moving to, I see the event as it happened. So now it's difficult to remain away from right and wrong, but start giving a chance because people are respectable. They are doing something. They are doing something. Now, doing something doesn't mean that you endorse that. You support that, but you don't put a judgment to it. And think like that. Judgments are contextual, country-driven, society-driven. All laws are created by some of the society, some of the rulers. Something is legal here that is illegal in other country. And so what is right? So we start believing in that something is happening and I'm seeing it rather than judgmenting it all the time, right and wrong. We move from, I believe my judgments are right. And this is something you see, you are always right. That we have a feeling, I know this is what it is happening. You move from there and says that I know this is my judgment. You can't live without judgment. It's very difficult to get into a stage where you say, I don't have a judgment. You will have a judgment. You will always have a judgment. The better thing you can do is that you start accepting that this is just a judgment, which could be wrong. So you start challenging your own judgment. You start becoming open to question your own judgment. And rather than believing you are the one who know the truth, you start believing that I see the world from my perception. It could be right, it could be wrong, it could be making sense sometime, it could not be making sense sometime, but I don't know the truth. So if we cultivate this mindset on a regular basis by way of reflecting on our own behavior and thinking, we may become more and more capable to see that event, feeling, story, thing happening. Else it may happen in such a speed, you don't even have a time to reflect on it. So what I have learned is that the whole thing, we try to control our action. I should not get angry. Okay, that's a statement you see. But what the person wants to do, he wants to make sure that he should not express anger. Means he should not be shouting. That's an action. So there is a difference between action, feeling, thought, and mindset. You may have a thought which is where you want to punish someone. So you already have an anger in your thought, but you may not yet be feeling. That may get converted into a feeling, and then sometime it may get converted into an action. And most of us focuses too much on the action, and we leave the mindset, which is like we don't believe in if we are too judgmental, that's a mindset. And when something goes wrong, you want to punish that guy, you get angry. A thought of anger comes in. And then when thought of anger comes in, then you start feeling on your body. And sometimes you end up acting against it. Now, many of us try to just focus on action. I should not be shouting on people. It's very difficult to control just an action. You need to look back. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? And what mindset you carry for this world, which results into these actions. And it is something like a cycle. So in order to get a better awareness and management, we need to have an awareness of all these things about mindset, thought, feeling, and action, rather than just limiting to feeling or actions. I did a lot of study related to emotional intelligence. Thanks to this webinar, I have been teaching, but never looked at the subject in so much detail. And I found many psychological papers where they talk about basic emotions. There are few talking about 4, there are few talking about 6. But I thought of, for understanding and practical purposes, we can live with, there are 4 basic emotions in human: anger, fear, happiness, and sadness. That is what I feel makes sense. I'm not saying one particular theory talks about it. Yes, there are so many theory talks about it, but I also feel that this makes sense. Now, in my understanding, the fear is the root. All emotions are primarily generated out of the fear. Happiness is absence of fear. Or I would say joy is an absence of fear, which is more like a blissful state. When you are fearless, you are joyful. Fear with low in energy generates sadness, blue. Fear with high in energy generates anger. Now, what is fear? Fear primarily comes from 2 reasons. Either we have a fear of losing something which we already have. I have this thing, what if it will go away? I have a fear of it. or I have a fear of not getting something which I want. So I, as a human being, always operated out of my fear, either to preserve something or either to get something. And depending upon how world react to it, I end up into a second level, third level of emotions: anger, sadness, happiness, and all these keeps happening. Now, how does it help us? If we can become aware of it, we may start watching our fear rather than just focusing on anger. We start appreciating anger is not the real emotion. I expressed anger because I was hiding my fear of losing something, or fear of getting to a situation where I don't want to be. So that fear got converted into anger, and I expressed anger. So if I have to deal with this anger, I may need to deal with my fear. And it is just an emotion which may get generated from thought. So we can see the whole awareness journey. Many times, a lot of literature talks about there are 4 levels of emotion awareness. The body awareness, where I know I have a hand, my hands are moving, I'm sitting, I'm walking, I'm drinking, I'm doing this. Then I have a sensational awareness, where I can see what I'm sensing on my body. And then I have an awareness of thoughts, what I'm thinking. Am I fearful? I am thinking about future, or I am thinking about past. What I'm thinking. Mindset. Am I carrying a mindset of optimism? Am I carrying a mindset of pessimistic mindset? I'm carrying a mindset of people are stupid. So this is all awareness which helps us in becoming emotionally aware, intelligent, where we can see some results. Just by controlling event, action, response, we may not be able to see the results, because the durability of that sense is less. So when anger comes in you, or any feeling comes in you, there could be a different level of awareness. Many of us says, I am angry. So we don't differentiate ourselves with our emotion. Whatever it is, we are our emotion. When we have some awareness, we start moving from I am angry to I am feeling angry. So yeah, second level of awareness came in, that where you know that you are you and your feelings are anger. You start differentiating it. You may reach to a third level of awareness where you don't even feel the anger, but you can see anger in you. That third awareness is, I can see anger in me, but I'm not experiencing it. I can see in me. And maybe we reach to a next level of awareness where you can see what you are going through, what is happening on your body and on your mind, without necessarily giving a name to it. Because name, initially labeling may help you, but labeling in future may start making that emotion strong. So you don't even label it, this is anger. This is something which I am seeing happening to me. That's it. And it is primarily generated by my thought, and then I move forward. So these all, I'm not saying that we all are here to reach there, but I'm just showing the possible, the journey, the path which may we move to. And if you focus on self-awareness and self-management, I'm sure we can improve our social awareness and relationship management. When we are in harmony with ourselves, we can be in harmony with others. And without being harmony with ourselves, it's very, very difficult to be harmony with others. So, and harmony doesn't mean that you have to be good or bad. It is just that you be what you are. So there is no thing to it. Now, how do we measure emotional intelligence? There are so many social and survey and all other things. For me, I measure emotional intelligence by measuring anger. So how frequently I get angry, or I feel anger, or I can see anger in my body, depending upon at what mindset I am looking at anger, is something which defines the emotional intelligence. Because everybody of us know that anger is something which just, that you will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger. So anger is something which punishes us, it burns us, and nobody want to feel that feeling, but still we end up having that feeling. So in my own simple way, you can see how you are progressing in your emotional intelligence by way of measuring, are you becoming, are you getting rid from your anger or some percentage of your anger with passes of time? Okay, so now this is the final question. What step would you take in next week to improve your self-awareness? You don't have to share here, but this all 1 hour lecture is useless because we are not talking about any theory. You don't get any PMP question or agile question out of it. It's useless if you don't get anything to reflect and work on. So my request to you is, without prescribing anything, think of how do you make a best use of what you have learned in last 1 hour, because this is something, it's about you, and you can only find it, and if you do it, you will get benefit of it. So think of a step, a one single step which you want to take or which you will practice to take. The step should not be I will be calmer. You will never be a calmer. Step should not be I will focus. How will you focus? What is your strategy to bring focus in yourself? What is your strategy to bring calmness in yourself? So think of one step, keep it with you. Okay, final slide, some references. So I took all the photograph from pixels. There were books which I have used. Crucial Conversation, one of my favorite book. I used one of the Buddhism book where there a lot of writing was there. I end up watching a lot of videos coming from J. Krishnamurti, which mixes a lot of spiritual stuff into it. And I attended Vipassana meditation program, and I also used resources from Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence, their mood meters and all. So these are the things which you can explore further to get experience of what I'm saying. We have some time for questions, and yeah. Okay, so I think a lot of things we covered, the questions which came initially. So so EQ and EI, people uses it as a replacement of each other. So please, so you get a PDUs and all those things. Thank you. This is here. Thank you for attending. And I got a one question that it is very important for dealing with children, and I find that is the biggest problem which many of us are going through. We don't know how to teach emotional intelligence to kids. They don't get they don't learn it in as a part of their curriculum in school, and we ourselves are finding it very difficult to teach them, and we keep moving. So the question is, what does the depression comes from? Fear with low energy is depression. So you have a fear and then you go into a low energy, it's a depression. So thank you guys. It is I am not a life coach, okay? So I my intent was, it was a very difficult topic for me. I must share that because I never spent that much time preparing for webinar. Because whatever topic I present is something I have been talking all the time. I just present it, but this took good amount of mind and emotions. So yeah, it was very difficult thing. So I'm a bit relieved to get it done. Thank you, friends. Thank you. So we are on time, and in next 2-3 days you should expect information related to our video recording as well as about the presentation. Thank you.